Yo, yo, what's up, guys? It's been a while. We've been on international break, but it doesn't mean that the football gods are on break. We live, breathe, eat, and yeah, sometimes we are annoyingly obsessed with football, but we don't keep it chilled. Like when the Premier League takes a break, we're still on. I'm with my co-host yet again, Kamu and Togo. How's it, guys?
Yo, man.
Hey, man. How are you?
Fantastic. Missing the English Premier League, but hey, what can we say? We need to get other competition a chance.
What is the point of this international break? Because all the qualifiers are done, right?
I think
And
so.
the World Cup is like mid-season. So like, why are they adding more games for players when like the season is going to have to stop in the middle to accommodate a December World Cup? Like, I really don't understand what the point of this international break was.
The only thing I can think about, they just want to derail Arsenal, and they have Partey injured again.
International breaks are shit, man. Yes.
No,
Yeah.
it's giving us a chance to catch our breath, man. Like the football has been so hard, players getting injured and all of that. And I guess some teams need to discover how much of on form they will be going into the World Cup, because you need to test those last combinations. Because unfortunately, this World Cup is dead in the middle. It's right in the middle of like a season. Like, it's not like it's off season. Just in seasons take a break, then you go into the World Cup. So I guess they just want to see.
Sorry to cut you off, which I think potentially could give us one of the best World Cups, right? And I'll tell you why. Because I think normally with the World Cup being at the end of the season, players are fatigued, they're a bit tired, so we don't probably get the best out of them. So having a World Cup mid-season where players have picking up form, the peak fitness levels and stuff like that, potentially we could see a very, very good World Cup, very competitive, players fit, as I say, it has, at least on paper, in my opinion, the makings of being a very competitive World Cup where we can see players at their best before they get tired and stuff like that. So that's my expectation. I really hope it can deliver on that.
Yeah, and it's also like potentially the last World Cup for legends, for guys that started watching soccer in the 90s. It probably will be Messi's last World Cup. And hey, man, with the form that he has at PSG currently, this is a different game for him. It's possibly Ronaldo's last World Cup, possibly Ramos' last World Cup, Luka Modric, Toni Kroos. This might be the best World Cup. It actually might be the best World Cup. You're right. Besides the weather, right? Besides the weather, which I think Qatar has catered for because apparently they have stadiums with mist, all of those things. Besides the weather, I think this might be the best World Cup, but it's also a great opportunity for a South American team or African team to win it because they're used to this kind of weather.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah,
but then again,
I actually think so, eh?
Sorry. No, go ahead, though.
No, I actually think it's going to South America or Africa. Like, I have that feeling. For some reason, it seems like the European teams, they may be tired because their seasons are so demanding, and it's demanding for all the teams, but I just have a suspicion that European teams will be like tired, and with the heat and all of that playing against them, I feel like the South American, African teams may have that edge. Just my feeling.
Well, just to add to that, European teams might struggle except for one, which is France. And you know why I say
because they're Africans.
Because they're Africans.
They don't have a weakness, basically.
There's no weakness.
If it's cold,
Those guys,
play the white players. If it's hot,
exactly,
play the African
For the
players.
Africans.
exactly. Whether it's Ramadan or not, those guys still perform. In fact, if it was Ramadan now, we'd see flames.
They have the cheat code. Yo, but France,
bro.
guys, I know the team. Because watching their match, like they just refresh their team all the time, and it doesn't even
It shouldn't
look
be
like
allowed. It shouldn't be
like
allowed, honestly.
so many like I saw there's a new Fofana now, there's Chaumeni, there's some guys that I've never heard of, but the way that they played, it's almost as if it's that peak France that won the World Cup 2018.
France is
They're just
cheating.
ridiculous. Yo,
Now I'm
yes,
saying, honestly, France is
yes.
cheating. I think FIFA honestly needs to intervene. Like, there's no way that, because France is basically, it's like a club, right? It's not run like a club. It's run like a club. Niggas are doing transfers, international level. Niggas are transferring niggas' nationalities. It's like, how is this allowed, guys? Like, these guys can basically get anyone. Because, look, if I'm me, maybe, okay, in hindsight, because people say great players some great players will never win the World Cup because of the squads, because of the countries they were born in. You think of Ibrahimovic, for example, in Sweden. I mean, no one expects Sweden to do anything in the World Cup. Even Portugal, and I think Portugal have got a good squad, but they're not quite as good as the Brazils and the Frances and the Germanys, at least in recent history. But I'm thinking, like, if you watch France and you see how France cheats and just gets the best players from other countries, if I'm Ibrahimovic or Ronaldo or whatever, I'm going to the head of football, whatever, they're in their countries. I'm like, yo, let's go also just like get players. Portugal, I'm going to Brazil, dog. I'm going to Brazil. I'm like, yo, let's find the hottest Brazilian niggas, give them Portuguese citizenship, and let these niggas play for Portugal. We'll win the World Cup. We will.
I mean, after all, Portugal did colonize Brazil. So
yes. So there's that direct link. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It just proves how strong of a colony was this imperial France were. Like they're so strong, because look at like you say, Portugal, like they colonized Brazil, a lot of these South American countries, but they're not benefiting. Look at France, like to this day, they're still able to, go to their former colonies, get the best players, nationalize them quick, and those guys, they're looting on other levels, but they need to be investigated. You're right, though.
I think the next club country that's trying to do the France model or the French model is England, because most of the black players are actually African. But the problem with England, they don't have much faith in those black players than France. France relies on black players because black players have delivered years and years and years. Zidane's time, Zidane is African, delivered. Last World Cup, Pogba, Mbappe, delivered, and Benzema, they're Africans. They delivered. So France has figured it out. But Gareth Southgate is sitting there, we need to keep it British. Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Core British center.
Bro, bench Declan Rice, bro. He's chowing you. Don't put Harry Maguire in the squad. He's chowing you. Why are you having Luke Shaw in the squad? He's chowing you. How are you playing Saka at left back? Are you crazy?
Yeah. No, this thing is, like, you can already see, like, going into the World Cup, that some teams that were supposed favorites looking rather shady. England, like you've mentioned as well. It doesn't look good for some teams, man, and it's tough now that they're not gonna have like an off season to go and fix their combinations, play a couple of friendlies. Like, this is it. After these international break, this is the last one, right? It's the last international break.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it is.
Sure.
Dude, World Cup is like 8 weeks away, 7, 8 weeks away, which is like
Yeah,
crazy.
November, right? Yeah, yeah.
So it's very close. It's very, very close.
Sure.
Anyway,
But
I wanted to say another, I was reading something. They say, the Brazilian national team manager has a selection headache. I'm like, no, that nigga don't have a selection headache. I'm like, if I'm the French coach right now, I am stressed from goalkeeper,
That's a selection headache.
from goalkeeper. I'm stressed. Defense, I feel like it just gets worse in defense. Maybe midfield, you get sort of in defense, it's the worst combo because you've got young players, e.g., William Saliba. Now he just like he shot up, and now you're like, whoa, I had my combo, but do I leave this young man? Because I can see what he's doing. Like he has a real headache. He really has a real headache.
yeah.
And then the whole Pogba thing, which we'll get into later on, and then also having an experienced player like Kante. Yes, it's injury prone, but he's got the experience.
Yeah.
You're not gonna leave someone like that, whether you like it or not. And then
Sure.
you've got the whole Benzema Mbappe situation, and considering how Mbappe is reacting to a whole Neymar, a whole GOAT called Messi. Who is Benzema to Mbappe, bro? Do you understand the things he's going to be dealing with?
Yeah, it's too hectic. Eh? Like now you've mentioned Pogba. I think he's the one that's really in danger. Eh? That Choumeni guy, sure, what a beast of a player. Yeah. Like if I was Pogba now, he better hope that he is injured not to make it up to the World Cup because he's definitely not gonna unseat that guy. It's like a combo of Pogba and Kante.
You think he's better than Pogba, though?
Dude. The thing about Pogba, okay, Pogba, like he's one of those frustrating players, right? That like this guy can, if he has to turn it on every match, he'll be like world class, right? Like the one thing I don't like about Pogba is that his concentration is not always like on point. Like he has those matches where he picks where like he'll be incredible. And this Choumeni guy, what I've seen from him, consistency, how he actually takes the game on. And I think Pogba on paper, like he does look more talented, but I'm just saying as a package of commitment, like consistency wise, like I would,
Sorry, man. Because like here's the thing about World Cup, right? And this is the beauty or like the bad thing about it. You just need to win 7 games in the World Cup. 7, and you win the World Cup. So you only need to be on form for 7 games, right? So you say, yes, Pogba is inconsistent, right? So all you need to do, and we're just using Pogba as an example, but you just need to get the best out of your players just for 7 games. And look, I'm not a coach. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying it's not as hard as, for example, a 38-game season. You know what I mean? So, I think players go like as a coach. To your point now, to Choumeni's benefit, I think selecting players for World Cup should be purely based on form, like purely based on form. Like you can't take a player just because, on his day, there's no on his day here. 7 games. I just need you guys to be great for 7 games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is where Southgate, if he's not careful, this is where it's going to cost him because, as we said earlier, he's got his favorites. Well, Mount are still playing. Like, Mount, I don't even think Mount has an assist or goal this season, right? And like, I'm not someone who likes to judge players on stats, but like, like you can't pick players who are not on form going into the World Cup. So this next month or so, Gareth Southgate honestly just has to select the best players at the time, and then England will have the best possible opportunity to win the World Cup. So I'm interested to see whether he'll learn from his mistakes or not.
Yeah, I just want to circle back to the whole proper thing. I agree with you guys, inconsistent, etc. But Paul Pogba at club level and Paul Pogba for national team are two different players. And let's be honest, when he plays for France, he is on. He's always on when he plays for France. And we've seen it, whether he creates goals or scores them themselves, he is in the game. And also, let's not forget, he's dealing with black tax, which we'll get to. It's a different, that's why he's not 100% focused, bro. He's got real things that he has to deal with from a personal level. But that's not the point. The point is there's younger players who are willing to play that position even better. We also have Camavinga. I think you forgot Camavinga. Camavinga, peripheral figure at Real Madrid until he's in the pitch and makes you win. Then you're like, okay, what's going on? So do I see Gareth Southgate doing that with England? He needs to switch up his strategy ASAP. Jordan Sancho is on form. I know he hasn't done so well for the English national team, but he's on form currently. And this is the type of player you need to take into. I mean, if we use your point in Dogo, so that let's take players into form, players that are in form to the World Cup. Jordan Sancho is on form. Take him. Harry Maguire is off form. Drop him. Mason Mount, drop him. Declan Rice, average, keep him on the bench. You know, there's things he can do, man. Like, you don't have to play with one system. I feel like he plays with one system with two defensive midfielders. You don't need two defensive midfielders, bro. England has great attacking players. Let's be honest. It does.
And defenders, like they have better defenders too. You only play with two central defensive midfields if you don't trust your defense, right? So
exactly. England, Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, sorry to cut you, Kamza, but yeah, it's just too narrow in his like tactical approach. You know, England, like, there's no reason why you need to play defensive in a tournament with a team like England. Like, to your point, Doris, World Cup is not a league. It's like 7 games. You just need to win 7 games, score more goals than opposition. That's all. Like, you have a squad of 23 players, whatever, you know, and you don't need to take defensive midfield. Like Bellingham, I don't know why that guy's on the bench over Calvin Phillips. You have Bellingham on the bench, you know, you have Ward-Prowse on the bench, you know, and you creativity there. Then you put Declan Rice and Calvin Phillips in the midfield. You know, yeah.
He stresses me out. He stresses me out, to be honest. And I feel like that's where we can see the level of nepotism in the FA. Like, so, how